Good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited this afternoon as we take on our youth development series, which we tagged Self-Development Training Workshop. You'll recall that our major objective is actually to turn the hearts of young people in Nigeria to look inward and see how they can develop themselves. You could be developed by people, but if you refuse to develop your own self, then that's where we have problem. And so we've been able to look in week 1, building the foundation for personal success. Week 2, we looked at time, character, and the journey to excellence. And third week, we talked about navigating relationships and building networks. And last week, which is week 4, we had planning and building a life of independence and fulfillment. This week, which is week 5, we have the topic is youth in governance and civic engagement. We have 2 resource persons who are hands-on youth leaders. On the left, you can see Jessica Oba, who is a council leader in the Ikorodu West LCDA. And on the right of my screen is Muazu Alhaji Modu, founder, Spotlight for Transparency and Accountability Initiative. In a moment, Josephine will be introducing both of them. And after that, we take on Muazu, who is going to be doing a short presentation. By then, Jessica should have joined us. So I now call on Josephine to please introduce our speakers. Over to you, Josephine.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We have Editor Jessica Oba. She's currently the council leader of Ikorodu West Local Council Development Area, Lagos. And she represents Ikorodu Ward. She's a seasoned grassroots mobilizer and award-winning community builder with a foundation in pure and industrial chemistry from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and a master's degree in public and international affairs from the University of Lagos. She brings a diverse educational background to her leadership roles. Previously, she served as the supervisor for women affairs and poverty alleviation in the last local government administration, demonstrating commitment and social development and gender empowerment. She is passionate about mentoring and empowering young women in political leadership. She leverages her experiences to advocate, mentor, and empower young women for increased female participation in politics. Eniton's dedication to community development, coupled with a dynamic approach to problem solving, positions her as a valuable leader dedicated to making a lasting impact. A round of applause to our second facilitator. Then we have Muazu Alhaji Modu. Is an activist and social entrepreneur. He has over 10 years of experience in civic engagement, specializing in social accountability, democracy, and governance, civic tech, and climate action. He is the founder and executive director of Spotlight for Transparency and Accountability Initiative, ST&A. a non-governmental organization whose mission is to empower and work with communities to demand accountability, improve service delivery, strengthen civic engagement, and promote democratic governance using technology through its initiatives, citizen-led tracking, Youth Civic Engagement Academy, Know Your Local Government, and Beyond the Ballot. Muazu is a 2018 Mandela Washington Fellow. He is also a 2021 African Civic Engagement Academy, University of Georgia alumni, a 2021 Ashoka Changemakers Everywhere Academy alumni, and 2022 Young Global Changers by Global Solution Initiative. Muazu was named among the 100 most impact Africans in 2024 by the Global Humanitarian Award and the member board of trustee Mandela Washington Fellowship Association of Nigeria. With a clap, let's welcome both of them to the session for today.
Thank you very, very much. Alhaji Muazu, you now have the floor.
So I want to know if I am audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Okay, let me share my screen, the computer. Okay, can you see my screen?
It's still loading. Yes, we can. We can see your
Can you see my screen?
We can see it. But you have not put it on slideshow yet.
Okay.
You can see it. Alhaji Muazu, we've lost the PowerPoint again. Please bear with our facilitator. So our discussion today actually is one of the most important of all the sections that we have outlined for us, because it deals with how youth could serve as change agents through governance.
Now?
Yes, we can hear you. You can share your screen again.
Okay.
Yes, it's here now.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
We can see your
thank
screen.
you. Thank you so much. First of all, in the next 1 or 2 hours, we have been discussing a lot of issues that has to do with youth, governance, and civic engagement in Nigeria. Thank you for the introduction, Josephine. First of all, I'd like to take us through the outline of these presentations. I want to cover these topics if times allow us to permit us to look into those topics. The first thing I want to share with us today is the personal story, my personal journey in the civic engagement space in Nigeria and the civic leadership. Then we have to look at the youth, governance and the civic engagements in Nigeria. Then we have to look at the governance triangle, public financial management in Nigeria, leading a change formula, tools for active civic engagement. A case study of student tracking in Nigeria. So first of all, I would like to ask us these questions. When first you hear the word young people, what come to your mind in Nigeria? Is it interactive? I believe it is interactive session, right?
Yes, it is.
So can anybody tell us when you first what Nigerian youth, what comes to your mind? As a Nigerian youth, when you first hear the word youth, what comes to your mind? Can anybody tell us this?
So any of
Explain
us
in a
can answer.
normal, as simple as, yes.
Please raise your hand, your virtual hand, and unmute yourself and answer the question.
What comes to your mind when you hear the word Nigerian youth?
Are you shy today? Can somebody from Oka please answer the question? Oka, please unmute yourself. Okay.
Uyo, someone from Uyo raised his hand.
Okay. Speak. Okay, whenever I hear the words, what comes to my mind is a young person that is full of aspiration and that is ready to make changes in the society. So that's what comes to mind. Young people full of aspiration.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
We also have Zaria.
Yeah. Zaria, go ahead.
Unmute yourself, please.
First thing that comes to my mind if I hear the word Nigerian youth is future governance in Nigeria. Because first of all, we get the youths. The word youth come in a situation whereby all youths are now, everybody have an ambition to have something to work, to contribute for the development of people and country as the youths. That's the patriotic youth of Nigeria. That is their mindset. But many of us were not taking the opportunity. So me, as far as a person as a Nigerian youth, I have a future ambition that I want to contribute to the development of my country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zaria. This is bring me to the bigger, you even asked the bigger questions, youth are the future. And the first thing comes to my mind when it comes to Nigerian youth is the issue of marginalization in decision making, the issue of minority, the issue of the future. Okay, as far as Nigerian young people concerned, we constitute more than 60% of the population. So in any way, Nigerian youth are not the minority, Nigerian youth are the majority. But when it comes to issue of decision making, Nigerian youth are completely marginalized. Looking at two different definitions, definition of youth, according to the Nigerian policy on youth, is like young person, any person between the age of 18 to 29. That's the definition of Nigerian youth. When it comes to African Union Commission, the definition of young people is someone between the age of 18 to 35. So looking at this definition, we can understand that Nigerian young people are completely marginalized in key decision-making in the National Assembly and the Federal Executive Council. In many states, when you look at the composition of the State Executive Council, the state legislators, you see that the young people are completely marginalized. In our Federal Executive Council, there is no single representation of young people, despite having more than 60% of the population. Why do we got it wrong? How, as a young people, can be able to change this narrative? Okay, we understand that the politics, joining politics, contesting for political offices is very expensive. Young people, we need a lot of resources for us to come to participate in elections, to contest for offices. Okay, why, if political contesting in the election is expensive, why not we being in the states and the Federal Executive Council in form of to represent our people? So this mindset is always burning in my head. How can we change that narrative? As a young people, we always think that we are the leaders of tomorrow. When we are in primary school, our parents and our teachers call leaders tomorrow. When we are in school, we are still leaders of tomorrow. When we are in tertiary institutions, we are leaders of tomorrow. After tertiary education, we are leaders of tomorrow. We are still working in this space. We are leaders of tomorrow. When is this tomorrow is coming? That means that tomorrow is not coming. As a young people, we need to think beyond the normal process. How can we get involved and take on what belongs to us? I like to, before diving that in this first conversation, I like to share with us how my journey in the civic leadership started. A decade ago, to be precisely September 2015, I was opportune to participate in a program like this, organized by the Connected Developments, Follow the Money, and Edo Delta State. When I attended that program, I saw a group of young people doing amazing work in terms of promoting accountability, transparency. Prior to that, I have zero experience around the governance and the civic engagement. Throughout that program, my mind is telling me that how these young people pulling out this amazing work, and I need to also do something in my community that can complement work of young people around civic engagement. Going back home, I started thinking of how I will start contributing. Then there was a group, WhatsApp group created after the program. Then I decided to go to various communities around, because I was living in a very typical rural community then. I am going to villages and neighboring villages to take pictures of how people are having difficulties in access to water, education, and many things. So sharing this information with the group created by the Follow the Money, this is how I landed my first job. Follow the Money looking for volunteers. I signed up, and then I was chosen to be the volunteer because of the track record of the work I am doing in my community. This is how I started as a volunteer with the Follow the Money. In 2016, I was a full-time volunteer for the Follow the Money as a community reporter. As a young people, we always focus more on what we immediately gain from something that we're doing. Then I was opportune to be employed by a bank, one of the banks, leading banks in Nigeria. But my mind is telling me that, is this actually what I want? Because then as a volunteer, I am only receiving 3,000 Naira data stipend monthly, but that same bank is willing to give me a monthly 74,000. But my mind is telling me this is not what I want. I actually want to contribute for my community. I stick with the follow the money. Lucky enough for me, same one that I turned down working with the bank, the same connected about me offered me a Okay, I am having a problem with my other computer. I will continue with this. So, can you hear me?
Please go ahead. We can hear you.
I want to know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can anybody?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so the same month I got my first job as a state lead. They offered me a role of state lead in Yobe State, and then I was start working as a follow the money state lead in Yobe State. Consistency is very key in this life. I continue working with follow the money for the last 10 years as a volunteer. I rose through the ranks from volunteer to state lead to regional lead to the country director. And in 2018, less than 3 years, I started my, as follow the money, I was selected for Mandela Washington Fellowship. So as a young people, we always need to understand our priorities, what we want, and what we hope to achieve in the work that we're doing. So as time goes on, I feel like it is important for me to start my own organizations now that I think I have more to contribute. This is how I started Spotlight for Transparency and Accountability. That's a small story around my personal life. Going back to the topic, youth, governance, and civic engagement. So if you look at as a majority population in Nigeria, as a young people, we need to be involved in the governance. And governance is not just governance. Even a military administration is a governance. Even the corrupt government is still governance. We need to ensure that we participate in ensuring there is a good governance in our communities. How do you achieve this? We need to engage in the process. That is the concept of civic engagement coming. If you look at the youth, the relationship between young people, governance, and civic engagement is that young people, we are the majority in Nigeria. We need to be involved in the process of the governance. Governance, we need to ensure that there is a good governance. And then how do we ensure good governance? We need to engage civically in our own communities. Let's look at the definition of the good governance. Ensuring public institutions effectively manage public affairs and resources while upholding human rights and the rule of law. If you look at this definition, you can understand that there are 4 keywords, 4 to 5 keywords. The first keyword is public institution. The second keyword is public affairs. The third keyword is resources. The fourth keyword is human rights, and the last keyword is rule of law. The whole concept of good governance to ensure that public institutions are actually ensuring that there are effective management of public affairs and resources. While doing that, they must ensure respect for the rule of law and ensure human rights for all of for everyone. This good governance must be accompanied by 8 elements. In some instances, 7, but some people match transparency and accountability. But for us to ensure a good governance, there must be this 8 key elements. Number 1 is participation. Everyone has a right to participate. 2, consensus-oriented. 3, transparency. 4, accountability. 5, responsiveness. 6, effectiveness and efficiency. 7, equity and inclusiveness. 8, rule of law. So if you look at these 8 elements, you look at they are all interconnected. There must be a people, the citizens or the young people, to participate in anything. The consensus oriented, this is the voice of the people must become sought to ensure that consensus is reached. Then there must be a transparency for the people, and then there is accountability for the people. There must be a responsiveness to the demands of the people. And in anything the government is doing, there must be efficiency and effectiveness. While doing all these things, the government must ensure equity and inclusiveness. It is not one size fit all. There must be equity in everything and inclusion of all relevant stakeholders in anything. Then there must be a respect for the rule of law. That's the 8 elements that method of good governance. Okay, looking at this lead us to the concept of civic engagement. Okay, as a young people, when we hear the word civic engagement, what comes to our mind? Civic engagement refers to the active involvement and participation of individuals in the community and society, obtained with the aim of improving public well-being or addressing issues of public concern. So civic engagement is any form of engagement by individual or group in a community to ensure improvement in the well-being of the population or address a certain concern. There are different forms of civic engagement. One, if you are actively involved in the process of election, that is a civic engagement. If you are actually engaged in the process of the governance, that is a civic engagement. If you are involved in the process of maybe community service, like community garden or whatever that has to do with the community, that's the civic engagement. Any form of ensuring that you add a value to the community is called civic engagement. So as a young people, how do we take this into cognizance, whatever work we are doing? How can we civically engage in terms of elections? Because over the last few years, election, we will understand that there is a significant decline in the participation in election in Nigeria. In the last election, the presidential election, less than 26% of the voters turned out in the presidential election. If you take into cognizance that percentage is less than the half of the registered young people in Nigeria. So as a young people, how can we ensure that we actively participate in all aspects of the governance, whether be it election, whether be it a public financial management, whatever in our communities? And we need to identify what we need at early stage in our lives. Because as a young people, I see many young people make this mistake. They want to do everything at once. And it is impossible for you as a young person to do everything at once. If you want to do elections, you have to focus on election first. You have to establish yourself in election before starting accountability. If you are to accountability, you need to focus on these things. You need to understand whatever you're doing in your community. Then this led us to the key elements of civic engagement. One is voluntary participation. 2, individual and collective action at the community level. 3, focus on public good. There are many other elements, aspects of civic engagement, but these are the 3 major ones that always, when you are involved in any form of civic engagement, take into cognizance these 3 things. Which of these 3 things your action is aligned with? So you can ask questions. If you have a question anytime, you can ask. You can chip in and ask question anytime you want. Then secondly, if I speak very fast, you have to draw my attention that I'm speaking very fast. Then next slide, the importance of civic engagement. So there are 4 major importance of civic engagement. 1, strengthening democracy. That is to participate in election, to ensure accountability and many things. Then the second thing is addressing social problems. Maybe the community has a problem, you come together to solve the problem of the community. Maybe you need a water, maybe you decided to contribute in the community to build a borehole or something. That's also called civic engagement. Then third one is promoting social cohesion, working together in the community, build a social cohesion among the communities. It creates coexistence among the communities. The last one is improving public service. When people are actively engaged in terms of civic engagement, you will see that they will keep improving public service in their communities. This and I want to give us an example. There are some typical example between North Italy and South Italy. There are some different in terms of development between the North and South Italy. Based on all indication is that the North Italy is there's a high level of civic engagement in that region. As a result, they have developed faster than the southern part of the Italy. So we need to understand, even in Nigeria, when you look at the state with the highest number of civic engagement, like Lagos, is different from the state with the lower level of civic engagement, like Yobe State. Because I'm in Yobe State, the civic engagement there is very low. So these are the just introductory part of the civic engagement, youth governance and civic engagement. Now we deep dive into how the governance work. So the governance triangle. In any governance, these 3 key components: the state, which is at the top of the pyramid, the citizens at the left bottom of the pyramid, and the service providers at the right side bottom of the pyramid. If you look at this triangle, you will understand that there is a long and short road. Who are the states? The states are the decision makers. That is comprises of the State Executive Council or Federal Executive Council, the National Assembly or the State Assembly, the judiciary. This is composed of the state. Who are the service providers? The service providers are the government agencies, that is ministry, department, and agencies. Then who are the citizens? We are the citizens. So there is a short route for development and there is a long route for development to change. If you look at from citizen directly to the government, is a very long route to change. Okay, I think we have a slide because this is the shortest one. The from citizens to the service providers is a shorter route. Then from the citizen to the government is a shorter, longest route. You have every citizen has a right to engage with the service providers at any time, anywhere. But it is difficult for citizens to engage with the state. Only on special occasions you may find a time to engage with the state. But the MDS has a direct connection with the government at the same time direct connection with the citizens. So it is easier for students to engage with the service providers easily than the government. So that is the shortest route. But in case of some instances, citizens can directly link up with the state. With the advent of technology, people can easily connect with their leaders through the social media platform by maybe voicing out their concern and everything. The government will be notified and then take action. So that's the governance triangle. Next thing, since now we see how the relationship between these 3 the components, then we look at how the public financial management works. Public financial management involves all aspects of managing government resources, from preparation to the auditing stage. We have to break this down. What is the budget preparation? At the preparation stage, a lot of things happening. The first thing is the revenue projection. When, in many instances, when people hear the word budget, they think that it is a money that's already been there that the government will just spend. But actually, budget is not the money that government already has that they can spend anytime. So the budget at the preparation stage, there is the government agencies, the government agency responsible for budget preparation, which is the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, actually do a revenue projection, what they expected to receive in the subsequent year. Maybe in the 2026, now we are in 2025, government needs to sit down and project what they are expecting from internal generated revenue, what they are expecting from federation allocation, what they are expecting from all the sources they have, grants and donation, what they are expecting from loan and everything. After they have made their provision, their projection for the revenue, now the next step is expenditure planning. Now they understand how much they're expecting from for the next year. Then they will work around how they can be able to spend that money in the subsequent year. In that aspect, in that stage, there are a lot of some stages involved. This is how the state budget or federal budget send out what is called a budget call circular to different MDS, that the budget process has been already started, that the people need to get involved. The MDS need to start working on their budget. This government, the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning also give a budget envelope to all the ministries and MDS and sectors that you cannot project, you cannot project more than this amount, maybe based on the sectors. That envelope, you cannot exceed that envelope. The envelope is the exact amount that you cannot exceed. Maybe let's assume health, and the projection of maybe Zamfara State for the next year is 300 billion, and the envelope for the health sector is maybe 40 billion. So the whole health sector cannot go beyond that envelope, that is that 40 million. So anything they will do for the subsequent year must be within that 40 billion. So this is called the envelope distribution to the MDS. Then after that, the state government, the MDS will report back to the MDS. MDS will report back to the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. Then they compile and they call for bilateral budget discussion. They will bring the MDS together to have a conversation around the budget. If they have met with the priorities of the government, if they have met with the budget ceiling, if they have all these things consideration. As a young people, as a citizens, what is our role here? We ensure that when our role is here is that when a government or a Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning send out a budget called circular, now we understand the project of the budget has started. We have to engage the MDS. If our communities need water, we need to run to Ministry of Water Resources or Rural Water Supply, submit our demands. This is what we want us to. Why do we want you to put our demand in the next year's budget? This is how young people and students can be able to push through different MDS to ensure that their demands are actually captured in the budget. After that bilateral budget discussion, in the bilateral budget discussion, which is comprises of all MDS and the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, media, and a citizen group. Here there is a citizen group. You need to find out who are the citizen group that are representing the citizen in that. You also engage that citizen group that are representing the citizen in that bilateral budget discussion to ensure that your demands are actually being captured in the budget. After bilateral budget discussion, then this usually, depending on states, some states call it budget engagement, some states call it town hall meetings, where the government will gather citizens to have robust conversation around the budget for the next year. where students can participate and contribute their quota in the budget preparation. And after that, the Ministry of Budget and Economy compile and submit to the executive governor or the president. Then the president, this leads to the next stage, which is the approval stage. The state governor or the president will present the budget to the National Assembly or the State Assembly. In this case, we need to understand one thing. The governor or the president present two different documents, the financial bill and appropriation bill. The appropriation bill is the document, is the summary of the financial bill, which is the budget itself. So after that, that is the first reading. The State House of Assembly and the National Assembly will sit back and look at this budget, interrogate this budget. If there is anything they feel like there is a need of amendment, they will make necessary amendment to the budget. Then they will call for budget defense. Some state and at the national level, they call it budget public hearing, where they invite the relevant MDAs and citizens to have a conversation around the budget itself. This is also, as a citizens, we have role to ensure that we participate such kind of public hearing or defense to ensure that our demands are actually captured, especially as a young people. After that bilateral budget discussions, then the State House of Assembly approve, or National Assembly approve the budget, and then submit to the governor or the president for accent. While once the governor or the president accent this budget, it automatically becomes a law. So any amendment of that budget needs to follow the normal amendment of law process. You cannot just, like the government should not just go ahead and just start making amendments to the budget. We as a student, we as a young people, we need to understand those things. There is a lot of issues like this happening in the state governments. Just take the budget as just ticking the box, and immediately after the budget, you will see a lot of changes. The way how the budget is different, and the way how the budget execution is completely different. In this case, we need to engage to ensure that the governments are actually complying with the law, because that budget is a law, and any attempts to change anything within the budget without following the procedure of the amendment of law is subject to impeachment of that governor or the president. So we need to understand this as a young people. Then the next thing is the execution and implementation of budget. This is how different, how the state government or federal government mobilize the resources they projected for the year, how they start mobilizing those resources that they're already projected and start distributing. So in this process, we need to also, as a young people, we need to involve. This is where budget tracking come in. We need to track all the expenditure of this, the government. When the state governments, they want to do this, we have to follow, ensure that actually is being done. Then budget monitoring and evaluation. You see, immediately after execution started, as a young people, we need to also monitoring all the government's laws and policies. You see, we have a public procurement law in Nigeria, almost across the 36 states, that all the government procurement needs to follow the process of public procurement. And almost, I can testify to you that there is need of citizens to be involved in the procurement processes. When call for tender advertisement is being made, you need to start looking at how they can be able to ensure.
Kindly round up, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So then the budget reporting, then auditing. And next thing is, as a young people, we need to understand change or leading a change. There are a lot of things involved. We need to have these 5 things for us to have a change. We need to have a vision. We need to have a skills. We need to have the resources. We need to have an action plan for us to have change. Without these 5 things, we don't have a change. And we have to look at this if we have missed any of this. okay, looking at it, like if we don't have a vision, we have a skills, we have an incentive, we have a resources, we have an action plan, we will be confused. We don't know what we want to achieve because we don't have the vision. If we have a vision, we don't have skills, we have incentive, we have resources, we have action plans, because we don't know how to do it. We will be like, there is a serious anxiety. We have a vision, we have a skill, we don't have incentives, we have resources, we have action plans. We definitely know that there will be a resistance. And then we have a vision, we have the skills, we have the incentives, we don't have the resources, we have action plans. That is a frustration. And we have a vision, we have a skills, we have incentive, we have resources, we don't have action plan. That's the chaos. So as a young people, we need to understand that for us to have a change, we need to have these 5 things, always. Without these 5 things, there is no change in any way. So some of the tools that for active citizen engagement, national and international frameworks. When Nigeria signed up for open government partnership long ago, we are almost in the, I think this is the 4th national action plan, sustainable development goals. These are the international frameworks that guide us, our engagement in the governance process. Then as a citizen, we have, as a country, we have a Freedom of Information Act 2011, which enables young people or enables citizens to have access to information. Public procurement law, which guiding how the state governments or federal governments spend public funds. The audit law, mostly almost 35 states out of 36 states have an audit law that requires the government to be auditing its financial statement every year. Then lastly, tool for as a students to engage in the accountability. We have social audit, we have report card, we have community scorecard. Because of the time, I cannot explain further to then a case study, student-led tracking, which is an initiative of Spotlight for Transparency and Accountability. It started in 2019, and today we have impacted more than 2 million lives and saved governments over $4 billion US. In the process, we built a capacity of over 2,000 community stakeholders, and these are what we do actually in the student-led tracking, project monitoring and evaluation, promoting access to information, participatory budgeting, capacity building, promoting transparency, and student engagement. How do we do it? We mine data through budget information. We went to community for community outreach to see if the project is actually implemented or not. We write the Freedom of Information request letters to government agencies. We engage media in the work we do. We organize a town hall meeting, bring together relevant stakeholders for robust conversation and discussion. And finally, we give back feedback to the government regarding the issue that has to do with public financial management. Thank you. That's all I have for now.
I'll put our hands together for Muazu. Thank you very much. We are excited. You can see, please, can you lower your, excuse me. All right, thank you very much, Alhaji, for that wonderful presentation. From what I could see, this is very, very deep. And it's not something that we can just talk in a few minutes. So by the time we get to question and answer session, I will expect you as the audience to ask some probing questions in order to get more, even from the speaker. Let me also announce that we have Jessica Oba right here. She has been introduced. I wonder whether she would like to do a presentation as well, or she would just like to speak to the topic. Editor, over to you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Trust you're well. I'm sorry that I'm coming in just now. Everywhere is a little untidy. I have a very big day today going on for me, and at the same time, I'm really excited to be given this opportunity to be on this platform. So I just couldn't say no. While I joined, I discovered that Alhaji has really touched quite a lot of points. I don't want to be repeating all that has been said, before, but I can just add a few words that as youth, aside our civic engagement, those are platforms that we can showcase ourselves and contribute our quota to our nation. As youths, we are inevitable. Our roles are very complementary, and at the same time, we are irreplaceable because there's so many things that the older generation will not do. And we have our strength in our number, we have our strength in our innovative ideas, we have our strength in our energy that we give. So I would just say that we can contribute our quota, playing our civic responsibilities. One of them is getting registered to vote. One of them is also participating in the voting process, running for a position, running for an office, because governance is about making decisions, implementation of the decisions as well. If we have ideas, the best way we can implement them is being part of the decision-making process. And majority of all these decisions that are being made have longer impact on the youth generation, on the youths, specifically because they are longer, they're going to be longer around, and so it is important that they have a key role to play in the decision-making process, and also in the selection of who is speaking for us, who is representing us. There are different ways at which we can come about problem solving. There's always one problem or the other to identify, to solve. And our generation has always found a way to address situations, even in laziness, as they claim Gen Z, even in laziness. Mark Zuckerberg has found a way to connect with other people without having necessarily going to parties. So that is also one of the problem solving situation. And we are also master of tools. We are masters of tools like the social media that we can use to address situation. Our generation was able to do it. In fact, it's so amazing what they were able to pull during the NSTARS situation. So I'm just going to run. I have a complete preparation, but there's no point running it through again. So I'm just going to say a few things that Alhaji didn't mention. And that's why I'm going to be using the NSTARS as a case study. The youth were able to come together during the NSTARS in a short amount of time. That is a very fantastic way of advocating for what we want, advocating for what we believe is right for us. And then there are so many other initiatives that have been put in place by the youth constituency. For instance, the case of Yaga Africa for not young to run, it was our generational thing, and it put a lot of strength. So I would just say, in addition to what has been said before and our roles, so we should just get involved. Even in Lagos, there's this thing we call the CDA, Community Development Association. It's a fantastic platform to even start preparing ourselves to get involved in problem solving in a lot of situations. So that platform is enough. It's a good way for us to even familiarize with our representatives. So I would suggest, or I want to plead with my constituency, which is the youth, for all those that are hearing me at the moment, get involved, sponsor bills, liaise with your representatives. It might be just the councillors. I'm a councillor in one of the local governments in Lagos. So I know what it means when we have ideas from other people that see clearly, because you might actually be seeing better from a different angle. So approach the lawmakers in your constituency. It might be just the councillors, it might be the assembly member. And in the line of our duty, we've been taught to, or we have mastered the art of reaching out to our people. Whoever wants to address us talk to us about fresh ideas, where most of us are available to listen, because that's where you get fresher ideas that you do not have, that you have not been thinking about before, and all those things can come into law. I have been able to meet a group of fantastic young people that are doing wonderful movements. Sort of, I met this lady, and she told me she runs an NGO that speaks for albinos. It was so impressive. Like, how can you even think of a thing like that? Albinos, yes, because they are a special group of people. They have needs that might be really expensive. For instance, they have to buy sunscreens, they have to buy moisturizers, they have to, do some care for their skin because of the situation. And it's so unfortunate. I was really impressed, like, how this is wonderful. So these are ways that as youth, we can contribute to our communities. We can contribute to our nation when we identify a problem and we are about solving it. We can, do a lot of advocacies in terms of education, in health. We see better, we think of fresher ideas. So we should be able to, put it in plan. And it starts with getting registered. Another case study, aside Yaga Africa and what happened during the NSAS, how people were able to put it. There's a project I am familiar with in my vicinity here that is it's a work in progress. It's called the Young Voters Project. These are a group of people that have come together to address young people that just became of age about the importance of voting, their voting rights, and why they should vote. I know a 50-year-old man that has never voted. He has never even gotten registered. And there are so many people like that. So I don't want to be saying too much. I already abandoned my presentation, but this is just an addition to what Alhaji has said. So as youths, please let us get involved. Let us consistently develop ourselves. Let us participate in fellowships, in leadership workshops. I'm a product of the Mandela Washington Fellow, and it has taken me places. It has prepared me. It has uplifted me more to, be able to face conveniently the issues I think I would have run away from. It has even helped me to deliver my job better. In my vicinity here, where I am a councillor, I know the quality of representation our people has had in the past and the quality of representation that we are still having. So by this little level of preparedness, which I feel I am not even there yet, it has been able to help us to deliver better. I don't want to run through some of the projects that I've done in my constituency, but as a youth, I took it upon myself to get involved, to create a platform where my voice will be heard. My political journey started from school as an undergraduate, and I'm here today speaking as the leader of the house of my local government. That's the speaker in the higher parliament, as it's called. So I will just, not every one of us can get involved in politics, but as a private individual, you can get involved in other NGOs, you can be a volunteer for other activities. And at the same time, one more point I would like to say before I go, the issue of transparency. I see that it is very difficult for the older generation to take this seriously, because I would say that the older generation failed. By now, we're not supposed to be here today. We're not supposed to be addressing issues like this that ought to have been addressed. This is way behind time. So it is up to us to put our representations, our representatives to account for what they get and how it's been expended and what it's supposed to do over time. When all our representations, our representatives are upright, when they know somebody is asking, when they know somebody is watching, it pushes everybody to do the right thing at the right time. So I think I'll be stopping here for now. I don't know if I've been able to, pass any really sensitive message.
Thank you, Jessica. Can we put our hands together also for Jessica? Jessica is a practitioner, a counselor. In fact, according to you, you are the leader in your local government.
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity for you to actually engage people that have hands-on. And the way we have had Alhaji, the way he spoke to us, it's very, very clear that he is very, very much an hands-on person. So I would like you to first, I want Enito to please tell us your journey. You know, it's very important for us to know your journey. A lot of students are listening to you. We're talking about youth. We're talking about change. We're talking about civic engagement. We're talking about being in governance. How did you start? So in a short, give us a short form of your story, how you came about getting to become a council leader, not just a councillor, a council leader in Ikorodu West LCDA. And I know quite a number of us might be interested. And then Alhaji, you have shared your story already, but I would like you also to, using your story, what could a young student begin to do in order to be involved in governance? Over to you. Let's start with Jessica.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I said earlier that my political journey started from school. I was actively involved in state association, ensuring that all of the students are able to tap into the opportunities that comes from our states in terms of bursary. Actually, that was my inspiration in the first place. We discovered that when the bursary forms are out, a lot of our students, I schooled in the north. I went to USinNigeria, and a lot of southern students that come from, to the north to school, they really do not know about the information that is going on, and so they don't get to tap into those opportunities. And myself and some of my friends took it upon ourselves. The association wasn't really existing. It wasn't really functional, but it was existing. We took it up and we became actively involved. We were assisting other students to, register, to participate to take part of the bursary. So that was how we started. And it got to the point that we had to run for an election. We contested, and that was it. I was able to hold 2 offices. While I was in school as an undergraduate, I was a secretary and I was a vice chairman of the association, helping students to get bursary. And after I left school, while I was just waiting for youth service, it was another electionary year in the local government, and I was at home. And it was like, what is happening? I really wanted to get involved. Let us see where we can help. And, my aunt just said, we've never had a representation as a councillor come from our, community. And I thought, I should be able to do this. And that was just how it started. I just won a conversation with my aunt, and that was how it started. I started contesting. I started participating in ward meetings. I started with my CDA, and that was why I mentioned the CDA as a very good platform to get known, to be able to speak and where people will know you. And I started, and I lost at primaries because I was new. I was still a little fragile, sort of. And people just thought, no, there's some people waiting in the queue already. You cannot just come from nowhere. Okay, we knew your parents, but we didn't know you. And that's because most of the time I was in the north. I was in Abuja for my secondary school. Then I went to Zaria after school. So I came back. People knew my parents and they didn't know me. So somehow I knew it was very important for me to get known. So I started participating at the ward level. My leaders always say every politics is local. Every politics is local, and that was just how it was. I was always involved in the ward meetings, and I was giving suggestions. And when it was time to purchase home, I did, and I contested. I started my campaign. And another aspect of being a youth is that we display a lot of innovations. I took my campaign to the social media and it was very aggressive. You know, they saw it differently from how it used to be. And even though I lost the primaries, they just thought, no, this girl is your product. We should keep her close. And that was how I got my an appointment to serve as a supervisor for women affairs and poverty alleviation. That was how my political journey started. Supervisors are like commissioners, but they're called supervisors at the local government level. So I was able to serve as supervisor for women affairs and poverty alleviation for 4 years in the local government. And immediately after that tenure ended, I contested again. And this time around, it was even more aggressive than it were at the initial stage. And of course, a lot of innovation was displayed, a lot of intelligence was displayed because I was working in a team. My fiance then, who is now my husband, was my campaign manager. And you know, it's just the thing with our generation. And we won the second time. We won as councillor and we ran another in-house election. Ideally, the position of the leader of the house is supposed to be for the most experienced or the oldest. We had a second timer in our midst, but you know, we did our thing and it was an election and we voted. And I emerged as the council leader. As a matter of fact, today, like I said, I had a lot going on for me today. Today is my screening. I have done that in the morning. I went through screening again to contest for the second time as a councillor. And the response I'm already getting in my community is very encouraging. Like they are just ready for us to work together again. So that has been my political journey so far. And it's been a motivation. And with my story, funny enough, I actually have an NGO that I created to mentor other young women. You know, I started really young and people thought I was naive and I was too fragile to survive. A lot of my friends thought that, how could you have survived, you, that you're very this and that. I was like, well, they said it's crazy, but you know, we brought a change, we brought a fresher idea, and this is us doing wonderfully well. My tenure under my leadership as the leader of the house, my local government was able to do its first bylaw. We have 17 new bylaws that we, 17 new bills that we just passed into bylaws. Bylaws, it's called bylaws at the local government level, laws in the state level, and I think acts in the federal level. So under my leadership, we were able to bring a lot of innovation to the local government. And here we are. Right. It's already good. So that's about it in a summary. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. How I wish you are not just focused on young girls or young ladies. We men, that's why women are called we men. Women. Women. Yes. Instead of women, why can't we just had young men and young women? Because what you have achieved is really, really great. I really enjoyed that. Alhaji, over to you.
Can you come again? The questions?
Okay, I wanted you to, what could somebody who is a student, currently a student, do to get into governance? What would you suggest that all these teaming students who are listening to you, what could they do in their respective schools? What could they do? We have had the case of Benito now. What could they do? If you can make it short, that would be great.
Thank you very much. You see, as a young person, as a student, you need to understand that we are in 21st century, a century that we need to understand certificate is not enough for you to get what you want. Because in many instances, I have never seen since my graduation, there's any job that I have been done or any work I have done in my life that somebody asked me for my certificate. Certificate is not enough anymore. You need to build your capacity. You need to understand, build the soft skills. You need to work hard to, in terms of volunteering. There are many instances you find out that you see a job advertisements that they're looking for somebody with the age of, I think, not more than 25 years of age, and they're looking for 8 years, 9 years experience. Many people, of course, confused what is the experience is all about. The experience is not about the full-time job that you have done. What have you done in your life? A volunteering experience is counted as an experience. So now that you're in school, there are many platforms that you can join in, that you can contribute either civically or otherwise, that you do a lot of work. Like especially in schools, there are campus journalism programs, there's school accountability programs, many things. So the more you engage in this kind of activities in your schools or in your communities, the more you build on a lot of skills. The more you build on a lot of skills, you don't need to ask for a job. The job or whatever you want to do will be following you. I will just give you a scenario where I was born, raised, and currently living in a very typical rural community. When I tell people that I still live in rural community, people find it difficult to believe, because what I do in my life and the early stage of my life, when I understand that this is what I want, accountability, I stick with the accountability. A lot of distraction, when you want to do something in your life, a lot of distraction come in. As when I will start my career in the civic leadership, job bank give me job, one of the security agencies recruit me into the agency, I turned that out. You need to be consistent, understand that what you believe in. I did give you one quote that one of the professors in the University of Virginia told me about in life. I told him that my earliest, I was just confused sometimes. This is what I want, but there are a lot of opportunities that I feel more than this in my life. But I want to just stick with this. He told me this: if you believe in something in your life, if you believe it works, even whole world think otherwise, just do it. It will definitely work. So as young people, we need to understand what we want, then invest heavily on what we're doing to ensure that beyond school, beyond our certificate, we have something that we can hold on to after graduation. Volunteering experience, volunteering works, the places that can take you, I believe, I can confidently tell you, many paid jobs cannot take you. When I was selected for Mandela Washington Fellowship, I am not full-time staff. I am just a volunteer with Follow the Money. So learn in your school and in your communities to start volunteering. And most importantly, you see, Nigeria needs you more than ever. As young people, we need to get involved in every aspect of the governance, from the election process to the governance. We need to get involved in the campaign. We need to get involved in the, anything that has to do with the electioneering process, to mobilize a lot of people to elect leaders that can be able to change the narrative in our communities. Not just sitting down, we are complaining, we are not getting involved in the process of actually selecting those leaders. So as a young people, now time forever, ask yourself, do you have a permanent voter's card right now? If no, you need to get one, and you need to mobilize as many people as possible to get their voter's card.
Thank you very much, Muazu.
Thank you very, very much. I would like to quickly move on to Lekki now. Lekki, please unmute yourself and ask your question. If Lekki is not ready, okay, Lekki is ready.
Yes, sir. You're ready, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Go ahead.
I want to know if I'm loud and clear, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, I want to appreciate our two facilitators. They have done wonderfully well, and their journey is quite inspiring. And my question is that from Madam Emito, she said her journey so far from the student, being student unionist, down to where she is today. I would like to say, me as a young person who want to go into politics, haven't been served or passed through this process that she has gone through, what advice can she give me as a young person who has contributed positively to the growth and impact of my community? And I want to go, I aspire to be a councillor, the next councillor of my local government. What will it take? Because it has always been godfatherism. Like the second facilitator said, it's not about the certificate any longer. Because me as a person that has BSc, MSc, and there is one person that has just O-level results who is contesting for the next councillor election in my local government. And they will be like, no, you go and sit down. We have all it takes, with the potential, with the capacity, with the volunteering and experience and the skills, than someone who is just closer to the godfather in the politics, just coming on board and left us behind. What advice would she give someone like me? Secondly, she was saying about her experience as young female in leadership. We've known that she only talked about the sacrifice, but she never talked about the price she paid. Yes, because females in leadership will come out, tell us that they did this, they did that. That is how they were able to navigate through. What and what? We know politics, it's give and take. If you don't give something to the leaders will not give you what you want. So I want her to portray more. Nigerian politics has brought us so far to this angle, and I want to hear.
That's understandable. Thank you very much. Anita, please, can you address that question?
Oh, okay. Okay, so I got that. You say in every space that you are, you have to study your space and know how it operates. If you are in a place, first of all, I would advise, like Alhaji said, you have to be resilient. You have to be consistent. Continue to display that quality that you have. Eventually, no matter what, you must be mentored by somebody. You must be seen with somebody. That is how the political space, especially at the grassroots level, where we are, you must be mentored by somebody. Somebody must be proud to say that this person is my subject. You must have a principal, because there are many times that they discuss in places where you do not have access to be. Somebody must speak on your behalf. That's just how it works. Somebody must speak on your behalf. So I'm not going to call it a godfather. I do not have a godfather, but I have a principal. And I have a lot of people that I'm being mentored by. As a matter of fact, I don't want to boast, but currently, while I was consulting the leadership of my party before I started my campaign, I told them I would like to rerun. I ran through a few of the things I have done, and they said, "Don't waste your time. We know we were at your programs, we were there." And a lot of them, somebody told me, everybody are claiming that you are their product. And it's good news for me. You must know how to carry along the major stakeholders as when due or when necessary. You should I would go through Google and study the classes of stakeholders. I will not want to run through that, but there are some that you have to be updating steadily, and that is how they just see you as their products. So godfatherism in politics, somebody, sometimes it's just a relationship, and they tell us that everywhere we go, so that your network is your net worth. The people that own, let me in quotes, the people that are on ground, that's the stakeholders. You just have to get involved. They just must know your vision. They just must be able to key into it. One of my support systems was my family. When I was going to start talking, I said my aunt was talking. My aunt is just a regular women leader in one of the groups in the party. And she was a good support system, because she kept encouraging me, okay, these are who you should talk to. These are the people you should see. You must identify, you must have somebody that's putting you through. Even not necessarily the person is going to hand you over that thing. Somebody must put you through. You must be able to connect with the stakeholders that matter. It's not necessarily godfatherism. I have a principal. And the second one, the prices that I paid. One of the prizes that I paid was my principals. Young girls, you know, the host was saying something about not mentoring only the girls, that it should be both the women and the men. I know the challenges we women face. As a matter of fact, we need to put in double or even more of the efforts that one would require to achieve the job. Most times, we need double of the effort. Prizes. I'm holding on to my principles as one of the prizes that I paid, because in this space, this political space, there are lots of white lions, especially girls. They want to get under our skirts. That's inevitable. And I said to myself that I am not desperate. I'm still young. I can still get a job. I can still function well in other places. And whenever those offers or those tight corners come, I just tell myself no. And because of the kind of relationship I have with my principal, the most comfortable position is my principal is not one of those white lions that want to get under my skirt. So I got really comfortable with that. And so because I have somebody speaking on my behalf that's been able to key into my visions, it was convenient for me to tell anybody no, but I wasn't rude. I wasn't rude. You know, manners at which we do everything, sometimes staying on a principle can get the job done or can get the job destroyed. So I just had that. It was a lot, even for a man, for anybody. One of my colleagues that we served together and we're hoping to return was telling me one of the challenges he was facing in his ward and how some people were conspiring against him. And I told him, did anybody tell you it's going to be easy? You have the experience. Nobody said it's going to be easy. It's not going to be. As a matter of fact, if they just tell you we're giving it to you, you should know that there's something wrong. There's a setup somewhere. So it's never easy for anybody. There's always a price, the price of time, the price of effort, the price of financial resources. You might not even be able to buy some people, but you will show that you are nice. I was telling somebody that I don't like all this eye service that people do in this our political space, just for somebody to think that you're loyal to them. They'll be doing eye service everywhere. It's irritating. And that person told me, eye service is also service. So, yes, that eye service is also service. So, whoever work in the space that you are, if you're in the banking sector, eye service might not work for you there. But in the political space, if you have to do eye service, please just get the major stakeholders, people that actually key into your vision. There's a lot of sacrifice. But one of the principles that guide me is, anything I will not tell somebody else that I did, please, I will not do it. While I was serving as leader of the house, my boss would say, please give me this and give me that. I'm going to take care of you and do this. I said, no, don't worry. I'm going to run that idea through the house. Anything they say, if they give their consent to give you that approval, we will give it. So that when my colleagues hear, they will not say that, Jessica didn't tell us, leader didn't tell us, she does. So that's one of those things that can, and you think people are not watching. People are actually watching. A time will come that somebody will just tell you who you are and you'll be surprised that so people are actually watching. So stand by your principles, be resilient. It's not going to be easy at any time, please. Thank you. I just hope I've been able to answer.
Yeah, you can see there are a lot of hands up at different locations. I know this is going to generate a lot of questioning. Can we go straight to Oka, then Oka, Uyo, and if you want to direct your question to any of the speakers, please indicate. So we're taking two at a go. Oka and Uyo, on mute.
To be honest, basically I've already answered a lot of questions that I have. But I'll go ahead and ask my question. You know, before Nigeria, even in the world, democracy used to be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But now, democracy has turned to something that is for people that have money. One thing when we talk about elections and civil matters in Nigeria, it requires financing. If you want to build, the main problem that we are going to face going into politics is financing. Before you come out to go and say you want to campaign to be a local government chairman in anywhere in Nigeria, you need money. That money.
Are you asking question, please? This is not the time for comments. We need question, please. We have so many people.
So
what's your question?
My question is, we use how you advise us go into state politics and politics in our local environments, the local governments, without financing?
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go straight to Uyo right now.
So I have two
Uyo.
questions. My question is directly to Jessica. You mentioned governance triangle. So my question is, what practical ways can the service providers in that triangle assist you to engage effectively in civic responsibility or civic activities? So I have a second question.
Please, can you take that again? I could barely hear you.
I could barely hear that question.
Okay, wait. Come, take your question. What practical ways can the service providers in the governance triangle assist youth to actively engage in civic responsibility or civic activity?
Okay, that should be directed to Alhaji. Alhaji?
The second question.
My question is that during campaign, politicians always make use of to achieve their work, to achieve their policy, but they do not make campaign to ask them who want to engage in politics to come and participate. And the second question is that
Sorry, your first question is not clear.
What's the question?
Okay, my question is that during a campaign, politicians always call youth to make campaign for them so that they win the election. But they do not make any campaign, anything, because if any of them have interest for politics, they should come out and engage in politics.
It's not a question.
So it's that sounded more like a comment.
The second question.
Okay, let me ask the second question. Okay, the second speaker calls for his primary election. What motivates I then to go for the second one?
Okay, what's the motivation for going for another round? Okay, thank you very much, Uyo. Maiduguri and Zaria get set. Yes, can we take it? So if the facilitators can make it short, that would be great. Over to you. Is Alhaji there?
But I missed the question.
Okay. I was talking about the triangle you mentioned, the issue of citizen, the executive, and the other. So the question is, what can the young person do, in order to be effective within that triangle?
Thank you very much. As young people, we need to understand that we have a role and responsibility throughout the audit process, from planning and preparation to the execution and implementation to the monitoring and evaluation. As young people, we need to actively involve during the design of the project, budget, to ensure that our demands as young people is being captured. When we ensure that our demand is captured, we need to follow up to ensure that during the implementation, there's adequate financing for our demands. And if our demands, there's adequate financing for our demand during the project implementation, we need to monitor, track, and monitor the implementation of the project that has directly to do with our lives. Then we also ensure that we engage the government to know how much is being allocated to our project and how this project is implemented. Freedom of Information Act gives us a right to demand any information from the government, if not personal or there are certain limitations, if not covered by that limitations, to ensure that we be engaging the government through constructively through writing FOI request letter to get information, and ensure that the contractors, we also engage the contractors, because there are many instances where contractors are intimidating community stakeholders that what they're doing is not 100% has to do with the communities, because this is the government project. As a citizens, we need to understand that we hold the highest office in the land. So the contractors is working for us. We have to engage the contractors in the process of implementation, as well as report any indiscrepancies in the implementation of those projects. As most importantly, as young people, we need to understand the whole concept of the public financial management so that we can key in and engage and contribute to ensure accountability and transparency in public expenditure in our community.
Thank you very much. Enit, over to you.
Okay. What I got from the first question was, politics has become really expensive. How can we manage, right? Like, how can we pull it through? My party has, the national youth leader of my party was able to do something for us, and I as an individual really appreciate him. When he became the national youth leader, he proposed that every participation fund for the youth should be about 50%. It's been so for women for a while, but it wasn't so for young people. And with a lot of effort, I got to talk to him, and he explained with a lot of effort, lobbying for support from a lot of other, major people in the party. It materialized, and this time, everybody below 40 were able to purchase their participation form at half the price that they were selling it. And that's a very good, innovation for us, a good success story for us. And what I would say is, money can't buy everybody. You need money. We can't deny the fact that you need money. And it's nobody's fault. It is our ideology around this part of the world. Everybody expects that, you are contesting, you are going there to steal money, you must give us money. Even both people that are actively involved in politics and the regular community people that you would ask to vote for you, to support you, everybody just says it. And it's not going to be easy. We're just going to continue to change people's orientations, that it's not always about the money. If you're expecting to get a lot of money to give to you to buy your votes, when I get into office, the first thing I'm going to do is to, get my money back. So it's just going to be consistent. I spent money when I started, but it wasn't so crazy like I used to know that people would talk about, you have to spend a lot of money. I didn't really have to go through that. I spent money minimally, and most of the time, I even got people to buy my phone for me. That is when people already key into your ideology. So politics can be expensive. Even the one you will spend on yourself, you will spend, because you have to be mobile. You have to not necessarily have a car, but you have to move. And in this political space, it's not advisable that you move alone. So transporting one or two other persons with you is going to cost. You have to appear properly for a woman. You have to make your hair. You have to look neat. You have to wear good clothes. Because when they see you, they look at your shan. First of all, check if you're a hungry person. If you appear hungry, they feel like, no, once this one gets into office. So aside the one that you will give to people, I will not tell you that you're not going to spend. So politics is not really cheap. It's a lot of effort. That is why, I don't know, people feel they can buy. Some people just come in with money to cut corners. When you're looking at so much money to do politics, it's because you want to cut corners. If you have started and your popularity is strong and you have antecedents that people can, verify that you've been doing this, it's going to come way cheaper compared to somebody approached me on the day of my last primary election and said, hey, I brought my people here for you because they like you. But yeah, give us transfer fare. Let us. And I told the person, I said, Mommy, if I give you one kobo here, I'm going to make enemies out of the people that are not going to give me stuff. So I'm sorry. I don't even have any money. I didn't even come with one kobo. And our election went well and I won. So we can augment for the aspects of money. You're not going to spend. You would need some money, but you don't need too much. You only need it to cut corners. So okay. I just hope I've been able to answer your question in that aspect. And the motivation for a second tenure, I think I did well. And I'm young. I already see myself building a political career. I already see myself building a career in politics. I don't intend to stop here. We had a wonderful tenure, which is going to end in about a month and a half or 2 months thereabout. If we delivered so that people can speak well of us, so they can trust us with bigger responsibilities. So at the moment, I have no reason to not contest for a second term, as far as the Constitution permits me and the people are ready to support me. And for a legislator, we were having an argument somewhere that it's become a tradition in some places that councillors are not allowed to run more than twice. Meanwhile, outside the country, in some few countries that have been, they have a very strong system because they allow their legislators to go multiple times. It's not because they don't have other things that they can do, but you become better at what you do as a legislator. A legislator is not in charge of money. They don't even give approval for money to be spent. They are like police for people that are spending the money. So the older a legislator gets in the system, the better they become. Okay, so now, so imagine that an executive comes into office and they just tell you, no. They said this is how this thing is done. And you as a legislator, you don't even know the difference, whether it's actually true or not. You know, things that I didn't know in my first, second year in office. Any executive that is going to be working with me should better be prepared because we have knowledge. So I don't see why I shouldn't, there are a lot of things that we can still do that we didn't do in 4 years. 4 years is not enough. Okay. So thank you.
So instead of 2 questions at a go, we're going to be taking 4 now so that we can cover ground. Maiduguri, followed by Zaria, your alma mater, Enugu, and then Calabar, in that order. Please unmute yourself and take your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is, our democracy started in a faulty line. The founding fathers were after power, and
My
question
is, give us your question.
The younger generation that are coming up into politics, they have seen the older politicians going scot-free with corruption. So what will stop us from making that mistake? And how can we break the barrier of ideology, that's religion, that the politicians are dividing us and ruling us by? So how can we
Thank you very
stop
much.
that?
The issue of corruption and the divide and rule. Okay, Zaria, speak to your alma mater. Please, let's get set. Onugun, please move to where the laptop is, or mute already.
The first speaker. He made mention of. My question goes straight to the first speaker. He made mention of that by the name of youth governance and civic engagement. He made mention of something that most of 70% of all youth have been marginalized. There's a marginality between the governance and the youth. And now, my question goes like this. How is this youth going to cross this margin line? Then, furthermore, if you look at the governance also, they are not ready for the youth to cross this margin line. And for the present government now, look at those politicians at the higher position, they use their children to cross the margin line for their own selfish facts. Then we, the youth, are not allowed to cross the margin line. And those their children over there, you don't have that mindset, that patriotic mindset to cross the other youths over the margin line for them to contribute for the development of that country. So please,
thank you very much.
How would we cross that margin line?
We got your question. How do we cross that magic line or marginal line? That's okay. Yes, Enugu.
All right, good, sir. I want to first appreciate the facilitators for their talk on transparency, competence, and credibility, because I feel it's what every youth needs now. So my question is, both facilitators made mention of one fellowship or the other that helped them. So my question is, how do we join such fellowships to help us? Mandela Washington and other fellowships, how do we join? Also, my question also, sir.
One is okay. One is okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Calabar.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Calabar, go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, in a case where you and your principal tend to have conflicting ideologies, how do you reconcile such a thing if you must continue with your principal? Maybe perhaps you find a possible path for career progress as a political personnel. I don't know if it's clear.
It's very clear.
Thank you.
Bochi, let's take Bochi and then Lekki, and then we should start question her. Bochi, let's go.
More questions,
Let's go
sir.
to Bochi. No, one per place, one per space.
Information. Say if you are not informed, you will be deformed. There's this information, Freedom of Information Act 2011 that he did not share like about Mr. Muazu. I would like to know that information. Thank you.
Okay, finally, Lekki.
I want you to illuminate on the fact that, because from what we've learned so far today on the youth in governance, I want you to try illuminate and expatiate on the concept of participatory government and representative government, because in Nigeria context, there is no clear dichotomy between the concepts.
That's okay.
Thank you, Anita.
That's okay. That's okay. Can we have Alhaji start and then Anita will follow? Thank you very much. Alhaji, over to you. Okay, while we're waiting for Alhaji, can Anita go with those questions?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you.
The first question was around how do we ensure that we break the cycle of corruption among the leaders. For us to break the cycle of corruption, we need to actively engage in the promoting transparency and accountability. And to ensure that we always, during the election, we call out leaders who are corrupt, whatever be the case. Secondly, the second question is asking about we have more than 60% population as a young people, but unfortunately, how do we cross the line? First thing first is that as young people in Nigeria, we need to understand that we have to stop competition among the young people, and losers are competing, winners are collaborating. As young people, we need to come together to ensure that we help each other for the growth. We have to come together to ensure that we make the progress first. Whatever problem between the young people, we can settle that later. If, as a Nigerian young people, we decided that we say that we are voting for young people, we definitely win the election. But the young people are the problem of the young people. We have to come together to understand that we need each other as a young people for us to grow. Then the third question is Freedom of Information Act 2011. The Freedom of Information Act 2011 is a law in Nigeria that enables every single Nigerian to demand for information, public information from the government and even private sector. If any information has to do with anything that has to do with public, you have access to that information. But information like personal information, security information, it's exempted from that prohibition. You can download the Freedom of Information Act 2011 to look at what are the prohibition of that. In some instances, if government agencies use this to give you information, there's even fine of huge amount of money that those government agencies supposed to pay the individual. So it's a law, it's a comprehensive law in Nigeria that you need to get your hands on that and to understand the process very well. And the last question, I can't remember the last question.
Anita will handle that.
Yeah. Okay, on the final note, we have to tell ourselves the truth. Election is expensive everywhere in the world. But how the money is being spent is different. But if you look at the US election, if you look at the amount of the money that is spent by the Biden and Kamala Harris, is even higher than the money that many Nigerian politicians are spending. But the way people are spending money is different. So we need to bear this in our mind that election everywhere is very expensive. And as a young people, we need to bear that in our mind. For us to get into election, we need to build our networks. We need to, sometimes you don't need to have the money for you to contest for election. There are people that will buy into your ideology and just fund your campaign and everything. It has to do with the ideology. It has to do with your manifestation and everything. Thank you. Over.
Okay.
Anything.
One of the holy books said, "Can two work together except they agree?" You must agree before that person will become your principal. So that means you've either not been able to key into that person's mentorship, or that person doesn't really see your vision yet. So it's not going to work except you're able to find a common ground and that person that you're actually being mentored by that person. So, participating in fellowships. When you are in the midst of your people, when you're in the midst of people that you can learn from, you definitely get exposed to, they get to tell you about opportunities like this. I heard about the Mandela Washington Fellowship from a friend that has participated before. I called her and I told her, okay, I'm the leader of the house now, and my election was voted in about 2 months ago. I want you to help me package. I want you to expose me to opportunities that I can key into. And she said, okay, just start with this, register. And lo and behold, I just registered, and I got a message to appear for interview. So it was really amazing. Like, so this is how it works. What I'm trying to say by that is I was deliberate about wanting to build myself. So when you're amongst people that you think have, gone through a lot, they can also expose you to things like this. And then we have the Google lately. The Google, the search engines, various search engines, they will bring a lot for you, the ones that you fit into. And there are a lot of local fellowships, workshops here and there, even in Nigeria, not necessarily abroad. There's this Legislative Mentorship Institute. It's a fellowship program that you do every year in the National Assembly. There are a couple of them that they do virtually in Lagos, in various states. So just make use of the internet. You would find a lot of them. And somebody sent a message that I just read asking about politics being a dirty game. How can we use social media to do our thing, participate in civic responsibility? So as a public office holder, you have to be extremely careful about the things you say on social media. Social media has been a blessing only if you know how to use it carefully, except if you don't have anything to worry about. While I was touring schools to do this campaign against sugar daddy one time, and I was telling them that if you know any picture you take today, that when you become a first lady, or you become first governor, or first female governor, or you just become somebody, any picture you don't want them to show you, then don't take it now and don't put it on social media, because it doesn't forget. And this, our era of cyberbullying, is really crazy. I've been a victim of cyberbullying. It was really tough. It was really tough, and I actually didn't mind that it happened, because it made me learn. It made me grow faster than my age and my experiences. So for social media, and as a public person, you need to be extremely careful about this, how you do your thing, and so people don't misunderstand you. You're bound to be misunderstood, but make sure that even when you're saying what is right, when you're saying what is meaningful, somebody somewhere will still say you're trying to probably just raise money for your pocket. Somebody will just say something. first of all, prepare for it and be careful. Make sure you have filtered, you have looked at it from different angles, what you want to present on social media. So I'm going to stop there, as I think I
Thank
was.
you very much. Your alma mater is still saying they want to ask you a question. I don't know why they are still raising their hand. So we take them as the last, because probably they want to relate to your own story too, so that they can become house leader. Zaria.
Zaria.
Speak Hausa to them. You forgotten?
My Hausa is Kadan Kadan, actually. It's been a long time since I left.
Kaban Kabani. All right, Zaria is on now.
Hello, my question is directly to Alhaji. So he spoke about his journey, and through the process of his journey, he haven't mentioned any challenges. Is us as the leaders of tomorrow, per se, we need to know the basic challenges that he faced, so as to learn from his past mistakes in making our own process. That's it.
So Alhaji.
It's like she's breaking at my end.
You said?
She's breaking at my end. I couldn't hear her first statement.
Okay, what she said essentially is that you've shared your story, but you never told us your challenges.
Okay, my greatest challenge in my life is that you see, in life, you always need to take advantage. Like any opportunity, you should take its advantage. I always use my disadvantage for my advantage. Let me tell you, I graduated in secondary school, only one credit in my in the SSCE. So knowing that I have no qualification to go to university, I quickly go to diploma. Immediately after diploma, all my friends were at the university for 3, part 4. Quickly, what I did is, instead of me staying back, waiting to write a NAPO and WAEC again, I quickly go back to higher national diploma. Immediately higher national diploma, I understand that I don't need a degree anymore. Just go to postgraduate and do my master's. In life, any disadvantage that you see, any challenges that you see, find a way to quickly make it for your own advantage. And growing up, starting Spotlight for Transparency and Accountability, I struggled a lot in terms of resources and everything. But any challenge that I see, I have to find a way to make it for my own advantage. I don't have money. How can I mobilize young people to take ownership of what I'm doing? That's where the concept of student-led tracking. We have the idea, but we are not the ones leading the idea. Students can lead the idea. So it is really, I have growing up in rural community is really challenges. I have a lot of challenges in my life, but I can tell you this, that 90% of my challenge in my life, I turn it to be my strength. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for making it to the end. Can we put our hands together for our speakers? Are you clapping? Thank you very much. I will want to thank Alhaji and Anita for this wonderful session. So searching and sincerely, I belong to the whole generation that you said did not give you a chance. That's why I kept quiet. But now that you have your chance, you have seen fellow young youth in the country who are making marks. So why can't you rise up and play your own role as well? I would like to share my screen now to make some announcement, and I want you to please pay attention. Our eLibrary USA Awareness Program for members is still on every Wednesday. I must correct myself. We are opening up. Anyone who can join us virtually can also join as well. And there's a link there for you to join. Number 2, we also have a public holiday on May 1st. And it's Workers' Day. Please let's note that we're not open to the public. Then the final session of our self-development training workshop is coming up on May the 6th. And I must tell you this, if you have missed any of the sessions, please don't miss this session. I want to plead with you, make every effort to be there 1:30 on May 6th, 2025. We're discussing the financial and professional development. And then, of course, the same week also, we still have eLibrary USA, eLibrary USA, which is every Wednesday. Please make sure you take advantage of this opportunity. And with that, we want to once again thank our leader, Editor Jessica Oba, and Alhaji Muazu for great way you have discussed this topic. And I believe everyone who have listened to you have benefited tremendously. Let me also thank all our directors who have facilitated this session. Thank you for making sure that everyone is connected and connected on time. We appreciate you, and the US government also appreciates you. Have a wonderful day, and bye-bye for now.